Welcome to my craft table. Hello, this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. It's mostly punch art and just a little bit of stamping. So let's get started. We're going to be using the Rooted in Nature. We're going to be using this wood chip. For the sentiment, I just took this little tiny Be Merry from Tidings All Around. Going to be using crumb cake and memento for the sentiment. We're going to be using a lot of punches. I'm going to be using the perennial flower, but you can use one of the leaf punches. Any shape that's going to have this type of shape will work just fine. We're going to be using the sprig punch. We're going to be using a 1-inch circle punch, a 1/2-inch circle punch, and this one here. It just has these two little shapes in it. We're going to use those to make the eyes. And this is, I think, a retired punch. Both of those are. And then one little red bow. I'll leave all that in there so I don't misplace anything. For the consumables, I have a piece of white, which is 3 3/4 by 5. I have a piece of the Designer Series paper. This is the Wrapped in Plaid, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I have a scrap of white, a scrap of black, a scrap of real red, a scrap of early espresso, and a scrap of wood paper. This is a retired one, but there's some in the there's quite a few of the Designer Series paper that has a wood grain, but you could just use the brown if you want. And then a card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. So let's go ahead and get started and do that first. I'll go ahead and bring in my trimmer here. Turn it right side around so you can actually see what I'm doing. Put this in at 5 1/2, which lines up with this line here. Nope, I'm doing 4 1/4. I'm glad I caught myself. 4 1/4. Move this one to the top, and we're going to just use the scoring one and score it. Okay, then we're going to turn it over. I'm going to use this edge here and the top edge so that I get a nice square card. Line those up. Bring in my bone folder. And burnish that down. Okay, I get a nice square card, or a fairly square card. Okay. Put that away. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and attach my Designer Series paper. This one is red. The one I did before was blue background, but any one you want to use is fine. And you could probably cut this layer down a little bit smaller if you'd like, so you can see more of the Designer Series paper. I just chose this size. I designed this card and made it with my family on Thanksgiving. It was kind of fun. So I'm going to center it up on here. There's just going to be 1/16 of an inch border all the way around the edge. Okay, put that aside. Now let's bring in our punches and punch our elements. So I'm going to start with this one, Perennial Flower. I'm going to go ahead and pop it out with this wood grain. Okay, I'm going to bring in a pair of snips, and I'm going to cut two of them off. So I'm going to cut like that. You see? So I have the ears, and then to make them a little bit more like ears, I just pinched it at the bottom just a little bit to give it a little bit of dimension. Well, this one's already cut that way, so I'll use that. Fold it like this and pinch it. Okay, so there's my ears. Okay, I'm going to bring in this punch. And in the original, I just did one punch and cut it in half to make the antlers. My sister and a son just tried it with the hole punch and it really looked kind of cute. So I'm going to do that way for this one so you can see an alternative. So I'm going to punch 2 of those. Okay, so there's my ears, there's my antlers. I'm going to punch the nose with the 1-inch circle punch. Okay, there's my nose. Okay, for the eyes, I need 2 black 1/2-inch circles or something along that size. So we need 2 of these. This one here, all I need is this little oval part. I think it's supposed to be a petal, but I really only need 2 of those. Okay. Alright, so that's all of our pieces, and then we're going to have one bow. So let me grab a bow out. Alright, and let's stamp. Bring in my foam mat. So you can see what I'm doing. We're going to bring in the crumb cake ink. Oh, this might need re-inking. Okay, ink it up good. Then I'm going to stamp it. I'm going to have it about an inch, 1.5 from the bottom of my card. Awesome. Okay. Might as well stamp the sentiment and get that out of the way. So I'm going to bring in the memento and the Be Merry. I'm going to stamp that down at the bottom, about 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. Awesome. Alright, I'm going to bring in a dimensional. And I'm going to put it on the center of my nose. I'm going to pop that on the front of my deer. It's going to be about 1/4 inch from the bottom of where I stamped here. And I'm going to bring in black Stampin' Blend. I'm going to use the fine edge, and you want to try not to touch the nose if possible. And just, whoops, see what happens when you touch the nose? It does a little bleedy line, which is fine. And then you're going to draw a straight line down from that to the bottom of the face. That's the mouth. You can use any black pen or marker. It's probably just as well. Okay, now the eyes. We're going to glue the little white spots onto the eyes. I'm using a tiny, tiny little bit of glue. Glue dot would work as well. Okay, then I'm going to glue these just above the nose. Okay, and then I'm going to glue my antlers on. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of glue on the back in a couple of spots, just so they're not sticking up loose. There's one. There's the other. And then we're just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of the ears. Put the ears on right over where the antlers are. Or a little bit down. Just have to hold it for a second until the glue adheres. Okay, then we're going to add this to the front of our card. And there's going to be about 1/4 of an inch border all the way around. Well, not quite 1/4 of an inch, more like 1/8 of an inch. There we go. There's one. Oh, we forgot the bow. Let's add the bow. I'm going to use a glue dot for that. Just works. It's easier to just adhere it to the glue dot. Roll up the glue dot behind it. Stick it on right under his little chin here. There we go. Here's the card we just made together with the double antlers. Here's the one I did prior to. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you have some fun with some stamps, inks, and paper.